Hi, you're listening to the My Body, My Story podcast.
Being and having the body of a 58-year-old, but the mind and aspirations and dreams and things I want to do of a 20-something or 30-something. So there's some physical challenges, if not limitations.
This is the 45 over 45 chapter, where we celebrate rule breakers and role models, the women who inspire us to live life our way and to show their sensuality, beauty, soul, and true essence. Here we talk about what it's like to be 45 plus, adjusting to the changes that come with time, and we'll listen to the stories of our participants. If you have an interesting story to share, we'd love for you to participate. You can email us on info@alexandrawalker.com, and that's Alexandra spelled with a KS, or visit our website alexandrawalker.com.
Hi Lisa, welcome to our studio. And while you're sitting in the makeup chair and getting your makeup and hair done for the photo shoot, let's chat. And let me ask you a couple of questions. Tell us a bit about yourself.
I was born in England and came to Australia on a planned 3-month trip about 33 years ago. And after around 3 weeks, I decided 3 months wasn't going to be long enough. So I ended up actually staying 15 months, and then after a few adventures, and actually misadventures as well, then I went back to England, but I came back in 1990, I think a year or so later, and I've been here since. I have 2 children, a daughter that's 21 and a son that's 23. I live in Dee Why on the Northern Beaches in Sydney, and I work as a relationship manager for a health and wellbeing company.
Oh, that's interesting. So what is this, what is your work involved doing?
So our company takes workshops, health classes, massage, ergonomics, actually a whole range of things, into different organisations, schools, actually now every sort of place, retirement homes, childcare centres. And I'm the first person when people inquire about something and want to know more that potential clients, I guess, speak to. And I tell them a bit about our company and hear what they're looking for and kind of come up with some way to help them, whether it's something they're doing proactively or reactively, and then I'm responsible for that relationship from that point forward. And if they book in for a particular service, then I'm responsible for coordinating that from that point on until after the event or the session. And ongoing from there. I've actually become quite good friends with some of my clients, which seems to happen to me a lot in my work in customer service.
That's great. Tell me, what are you most passionate about?
That's a tricky question. So much, so many things. I think I'm most passionate about nature. I love nature. I love being surrounded by trees or at the beach near where I live. Being in the ocean, I generally go for a walk each day and throw myself under the waves, apart from the couple of colder months. But yep, I went in yesterday. It was a bit brisk. I'm also really passionate about creativity, connection with people, with nature, and trying new things. Actually, I'm really passionate about trying new things. My children always joke and say I don't actually have any hobbies because I don't do anything for long enough. I just do something, have fun, and then I move on to something else. So in the last year or so, I have started climbing, indoor climbing, and now a bit of outdoor rock climbing, which was a personal goal and experience, and drumming and singing.
Wow.
And probably my favourite is riding on the back of a couple of my friends' motorbikes, which I absolutely love. I tried to do my L's to learn to ride a bike last year and decided that I was better on the back of someone else's. So yeah.
So you don't drive bike by...
No, I'm really happy being on the back so that I can just enjoy the ride and I don't have to think about anything. I can just take in the scenery and feel like the breeze, well, more than a breeze actually, going through my hair and just get that real buzz. I absolutely love it.
That's great. Well, it seems like you're enjoying life and trying everything like to do with the sport or movements or nature.
Yeah, I guess so. I hadn't thought about it that way. There is a lot of movement in there, isn't there? Yeah, I guess I am.
Do you think it helps you with the age changes, that so much movements? Do you think it makes you...
Yes, I do. I mean, I've always been really active mentally and physically. I used to be really competitive, but now I'm just not interested in that side of things. But yeah, I do like to be on the move and doing things. And yeah, I kind of feel the movement and trying the new things keeps me quite young. I'm pretty young at heart anyway. But yeah, I do.
So everyone knows that with age we change, but what positive changes have you experienced with age?
Probably the most noticeable and positive thing is that as I get older, I care less and less what others think. I would actually like to be able to get to the point where I really just don't care unless they're people close to me or colleagues or directly, you know, that are in my life. I'm not sure if I'll get there. I also just think as those numbers go by each year, I have a much greater appreciation for each day and for my life and time. I've had a few different things happen to family and friends where their lives have been cut short, and yeah, I think they're all real positives in ageing, and I guess I've just lived, I think, quite a lot of years. I seem to be in this I'm turning 60 next year story. It seems to be coming out my mouth a lot lately, even though I'm only 58 at the moment. But yeah, I look back and somebody actually asked me last week, before I even, nothing to do with this, if I could change anything about my life, you know, would I? And I think on the whole I wouldn't. Yeah, so I think they're all quite positive changes.
Yeah, because you are where you are now because of all the events happened to you, and if you change anything you may be somewhere else at this moment.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, they have made me who I am, and yeah, now they're me and I am them.
So what is the biggest challenge you're experiencing at this age now?
The biggest challenge is, I think, being and having the body of a 58-year-old, but the mind and aspirations and dreams and things I want to do of a 20-something or 30-something. So there's some physical challenges, if not limitations. And just adjusting to the number, I think certainly as I turned 55, now I'm closer to, from that moment I was closer to 60 than 50, and mentally I think for a few years there, yeah, that was pretty challenging for me. I didn't like the idea of being nearly 60, although I think 60 is now the new 50. and probably I'll think that 70 is the new 60 and so on. So yeah, I guess that's, and just also just really being myself and really tuning into that and yeah, expressing that, which can be quite challenging for me at times.
What is your greatest accomplishment?
Gosh, that's a really hard one. I don't know that I have one. I think if I had to say one thing, and it's not a thing as such, it would be the relationships that I have with family, friends, colleagues, even my ex-partner of 25 years. I think, you know, there's been some real challenges in that and family over probably the last particularly 5 to 10 years. My father had cancer and I walked that path with him for 6 months before he passed away. My mum has declined into dementia and my son was arrested on multiple criminal charges a couple of years ago. So, yeah, I just think those relationships have been strengthened by that, and yeah, I think that's probably, I consider those my accomplishments, for want of a better word.
What advice would you give your 30-year-old self?
Oh gosh, I think back to being 30 and think, there's a few things actually. I think my 30-year-old self, for me personally, I would say live your life loud and big, because that's my thing. And it took me a long time to, and still I'm trying to work towards that. Honour your dreams, believe in them, dream big. And I think the biggest thing for me would be do whatever you want or need to get in touch with yourself, like with your true nature, your soul, your spirit, and yeah, the essence of who you are, and don't hold back. So own who you are. That's one of my current sayings that I really like.
Yeah, it reminds me of the saying, dare for more.
Yeah.
Great. And what advice would you give younger women who will eventually undergo these changes?
I think along the same lines as what I would probably give my 30-year-old self. As I mentioned, like I've had a lot of challenges in the last 5 years to 10 years. Younger people now that I know a lot of, you know, everybody's busy, everybody's stressed. You think you've got all this time and you can do everything later, and that's often not the case. It often is the case as well. So yeah, really live your life, be who you are, do what you want to do, try new things. I wanted to live my life big and loud, but that's not everybody's thing. Somebody else might want to live theirs softly and gently, or so whatever your thing is, do that. And on a practical level, really look after your body and your mind. I would actually tell people now to look after their skin, which I remember coming to Australia when I was 25, and a really old friend of my mum's who was living here told me to look after my skin and make sure I always wore sunscreen, and I just laughed it off. It was like, yeah. And now I can see what the effects of not doing that are on my body and my skin. So I'm on it, my daughter, all the time. I mean, it seems a silly thing, but yeah. And I could probably talk forever about what I'd advise people, but because I'm better at advising people than I am at doing it myself.
We all do. Where do you think the idea of perfect body image come from?
I think it comes from a few different things. For myself, personally, I think looking back when I was younger, and that idea came from me comparing myself to other people, like my other friends that were prettier or had different figures or had boyfriends, or so it kind of, I guess, came from a bit of insecurity, or maybe more than a bit. and doubts and just not particularly positive thoughts about myself. But I think this generation and now, probably quite a bit in between, a lot of it's from magazines, from movies, social media, absolutely, peer pressure. It's just such a different world now for young people than it was for me.
What does it mean to you, feeling good and looking good? What do you think comes first?
I think they're so closely connected and intertwined. I actually think both. If I think about that, originally when I first think about it, I think you need to feel good to look good. But then I also think of my personal experiences of when I've treated myself to something or had my hair done. I used to be really dark brown and I've gone from that to lots of shades of red, copper, strawberry blonde, and now even lighter blonde. Just so when I look good, I do actually feel good. So I think it works both ways. I'm not sure on that one. I think it's both.
Yeah, it's like egg or chicken.
Yes, yeah, absolutely.
But what makes you feel the most beautiful?
There's a few things. Some are actual things and some are being in different places. Silk sheets, silk underwear, silk anything actually. I think I have a silk obsession. I just love the feel and the look of it. Having my hair done or my makeup done, buying something really lovely to wear that I put on and feel good in, and yeah, probably 100 other things that I don't spring to mind, but also being in certain places and being myself, and especially being in nature and being free, like walking along the beach barefoot, like the sun shining on me and my hair kind of, which is usually often messy, flying in the wind, or just diving under the waves in the ocean, which I do most days. Yeah, feeling connected to nature and the earth. I think they would be the things where I feel most beautiful.
In other words, enjoying life
Oh,
makes
absolutely.
you feel more beautiful.
Yeah.
Do you have any favorite quote about being a woman, or any favorite idea about being a woman?
I think, as I said, my favourite quote for quite a little while has been "Own who you are." I think it's especially applicable to women, but everybody, male and female. And I would probably have to say, when I think of my favourite quote, it's got to be Helen Reddy's song, "I Am Woman, Hear Me Roar." In numbers greater than before. I can't remember. I do actually know the words, and I often sing it around my house when I'm dancing around. I think it's not a quote, but it just really captures my experience of life and being a woman. I'm not a feminist. I like to be feminine. I also am a real tomboy, but I am woman, hear me roar. I'll just summarise it as that.
That's great. Thank you, Lisa, for coming and joining our project. And hope you'll have a great time at your photo shoot.
I'm sure I will.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
If you have an interesting story to share, we'd love for you to participate. You can email us on info@alexandrawalker.com, and that's Alexandra spelled with a KS, or visit our website alexandrawalker.com.